So I was thinking it might be nice to just listen to music for an hour together. And we're going to listen to jazz fusion because it's one of my favorite styles of music. I call it style just not because, I don't believe in genres or something, but because there's so many sub-styles and sub-genres. I mean, when you say, I like jazz fusion, it's kind of like saying, I like rock music, It's like a million types of it. So we're going to listen to a bunch of different stuff today. It's stuff that's got lyrics, stuff that's instrumental, stuff that's old, new, electronic, acoustic, video game music, all sorts of stuff. Just because I want to. Hopefully you want to. So hopefully you have a snack or a drink or something and we'll just chill, just a casual listening session. I'll talk about some of the stuff. We're not going to listen to the whole of every song because it would just take a long time. A lot of these tunes have, multiple solos in them, jazz and all, and on it goes. So that would, we could do that in the future. If you want to do that, let me know. Listen to the, a whole thing together. That's cool with me too. But for now, we're just going to listen to some bits of each one, talk about it, sort of enjoy it all together. Please let me know what you think in the comments. I'm happy to talk about the tracks, about fusion, give me recommendations, whatever. And if you dig this kind of hangout session video, then let me know. Anyway, I think that's it. So let's get into it. So for some reason, it just felt right to start with a Snarky Puppy tune. I don't know why. And that's what we're going to do. This is one of my favorite Snarky Puppy tunes. There's a lot of good Snarky Puppy tunes. There's a lot of good tunes from everybody on the list. So I'm just playing one from each artist, but you could easily just search their name and go to town. I mean, so much good music. I'm going to link the playlist, by the way, of what we're listening to today in the description below, in case you want to find these tracks. All right, so here we go. This is going to be Snarky Puppy, and I've got a little thing we can look at here. It's called What About Me? So that's why I thought, get us started with a bang, right? Snarky Puppy, that boom, doo-doo-doom, boo-doo-doom, sick. Whole track is sick. This whole album is sick that it comes from. We like it here. But I mean, like I say, any of them are great. So yeah, Snarky Puppy. Wow, what do you say? Okay, so now we'll listen to a George Duke tune. This is called Brown Sneakers. awesome. Love George Duke. The vibe in this is just, happening, right? It's like chill and cool. Then it gets dark there for a while with like the sort of melodic minor sort of sound. And I really like this part in the start where the bass and the guitar are playing. That little melody, but then that sort of seems like, oh, so that's the melody for this part. But then, we get the synth coming in over top while that continues. So a really cool sort of counterpointy thing in this fusion tune. The solo that goes on later is banging, of course, but like I said, we're not going to listen to the whole song today just because most of these are like 6 minutes long. We'll be here forever. Anyway, that was George Duke. Let's move on to a Sean from Song Martin. A song from Sean Martin. Sean Martin unfortunately passed away earlier this year and was part of many projects, including Snarky Puppy, actually. And this is from his first album, I believe. The song's called The Yellow Jacket. Not sure if that's a reference to the Yellow Jackets, another fusion group, or actually the yellow jacket that you wear, or Yellow Jackets, the insect. Anyway, here we go. So nice. I'm such a sucker for this feel of the sort of like major key with a lot of sort of traditional harmonic movements, diatonic stuff mixed with a few like secondary dominance and modal interchange things and whatever, but just sort of like, it's not triadic, but somehow sounds triadic a lot of the time, sounds just pure and peaceful, and it's beautiful anyway. So yeah, I really, really dig that groove and the synth lines over top of it. And then there in the beginning of the solo, doom, doom, with just the bass playing the pedal tone thing. And then all these upper structure chords going on over top. It's just great. It's great. Yellow Jacket by Sean Martin. Next is Have You Heard by Pat Metheny Group. And people that know me know I'm a huge Pat Metheny fan. So I could have picked a million songs here to put on this. And I picked this one because, I don't know, it's as good as any. And it's got, actually, I think we will listen to the solo in this one just because it's so wild that, and Pat doesn't usually, not in a lot of tunes, you don't hear Pat play this fast for this long. It's just like shredding a lot of it, and just some really hip lines and outside stuff and whatever. So anyway, we'll get into that. It's called Have You Heard? Though it's just so interesting, rhythmically, phrasing, structurally. Yeah, I could easily do a whole one of these just on Pat's tunes. There's so many favorites. And I'm not always the biggest Pat soloing fan, honestly. Sorry, Pat. But some of them, especially when it's clean like this, clean guitar, not like distorted stuff or synth stuff, but the clean like this, it's just some lines in there. It's just sick. Damn. All right. Next up, we've got the Rippingtons. So the Rippingtons sort of border smooth jazz and jazz fusion and rock and I don't know what, so jazz fusion. My definition here of jazz fusion is obviously pretty loose. I mean, obviously we haven't gotten to half the stuff I'm going to play here, but it's like if elements of jazz have gotten into other styles of music in a noticeable way, I'll call it jazz fusion. So here we go, Rippingtons. This is called Snowbound. Sucker for fretless bass. Who isn't? Phew, yeah, right? It's great. That intro is just so lush. The harp, pad, the rides, some bells, percussion, the guitar comes in, bass, you know? It's wonderful. And then you get in like the chorus or whatever you want to call it, you've got like chugging guitars. You're not going to hear a lot of that on this list, but it makes it into Rippington songs sometimes. Anyway, the early Rippingtons albums in particular are just bangers, full of them, full of bangers, beginning to end. So Snowbound, that was that track. Now we're going to listen to a Marcus Miller song. Marcus Miller is a bass player, in case you don't know. It's called High Life. Love that song. Love that song. Listened to it for years. Just can't get enough of it. I'm a really big fan of this sort of nexus point in the fusion world where there's some funkiness, there's sincerity and like prettiness and sort of like heart, like depth, emotional quality. Then there's also some moments of flash, obviously like there's a lot of room for flashy stuff in fusion, harmonically, melodically, drums, bass fills, there's all sorts of flashy stuff that goes on. So something that balances that. Sometimes I feel like, for my personal taste, things get too far in one direction, too flashy with no substance, too proggy without heart. I don't know. It's not to say that music isn't good. It's just for my personal taste, I end up finding this balance point in the middle where there's bits of, these elements. Anyway, I feel like this track really embodies a lot of that. As do a lot of the tracks on this playlist, because I made it. I made the playlist. Okay, the next one is a pretty wild song. This is a Shaka Khan track, and it's called "And the Melody Still Lingers On." It's based on "Night in Tunisia," which is a jazz standard, and if you listen to the lyrics, you'll hear some talking about that. And yeah, it's older tune, but you'll see.
Dizzy and Bird gave us this song. They called it "A Night in Tunisia," and the melody still lingers on.
Come on. Oh, that's wild. And at the end of the song, she has these awesome harmonies. I just have to play it. Wow. Right? So, that song is definitely heavier on the funk and flash side. Not that it doesn't have heart, but, it's less of the kind of sentimental, nostalgic quality than it is of the, that riff at the start, the whole arrangement at the start. And then the bass comes in. Come on, what kind of groove is that? It's wild. All right, moving on. This is a K-pop tune from a band called GWSN, and the song is called The Aerialist Wonder Boy. I came across this just when I was trying to find some K-pop stuff, And yeah, it's really cool. A lot of K-pop sort of is fusion, basically. Fusion pop music. So yeah, that's this.
Hey. Yeah. 화려한 조명 아래 보이는 많은 시선들 쏟아지는 함성 아슬아슬한 공중 그네 위 위태롭기만 해 한 걸음조차 될 수 없어 날 딛지 못해 잊고 있었던 너만의 날개 펴고 그대로 날아봐 마치 Mr. Vertigo 두려워하지마 내 손을 꼭 잡아봐 Fly high 더 높은 곳으로 하늘을 가득 채워줘 저 달빛 아래 wonderful 마지막 그 페이지 끝을 장식해 또 한 번 더 새롭게 빛으로 피어날 나를 기대해 영원토록 꺼지지 않는 내가 찾은 꿈 magical 기적 같은 순간 Fly through the universe Just like a wonder boy Magical, magical Logical, logical 영원토록 꺼지지 않는 너 조금 더 멀리 날아가 볼래
You see what I mean? You're not going to hear that on the radio in the West. I don't think. Not when I was listening to the radio. Maybe you do now. I don't think so, though. Really cool stuff. That's all I got to say. We're going to do a couple more tracks with vocals here. So this is a song called Wait a Minute, and it's by Spectacular Music and Ghost Note. Sput, I forget his first name, Robert Sput? Anyway, is part of Ghost Note and did a bunch of these amazing arrangements for, I can't remember which one it is now, like a drum Zildjian maybe? They have this thing where they bring in amazing drummers and they do these crazy fusion tracks that he puts together. And this is one of those, so let's check it out. It's called Wait a Minute. Isn't that a banger? Super cool. That part with the like but just has so much expectation breaking stuff going on there constantly. And then just sits up there, sounds like it's on, the 5 chord or something, just like just builds and builds and builds and builds and builds, and then you don't even get a resolution. It just sits up there for another like 10 seconds or something. Anyway, sick track. Spectacular music. Next is following on this trend. We got to play a Dirty Loops track, and if you're going to play a Dirty Loops track, it's probably got to be Hit Me. I know they have. I'm a big fan. They have a ton of other great tracks, but hit me is the classic. And, what are you going to do?
Hit me, hit me. First, I came off a ride, just like a normal guy, but my tone changed round midnight. Left you message 100, wish that the all could be deleted. Your number is hanging out a thread. I'm sick and tired, but deep inside I know I'm screwed if you don't call me. Hit me, baby, I'm going crazy. Hit me, get me with your raps. Hit me, baby, I'm going crazy. Hit me, call me up or this will be the end. Last time I saw your face, you told me something like how I can't be replaced. I left your message 1000. I guess I must have broke the server, something. Cause all I'm getting is silence ringing. Quite honestly, you're screwed if you don't call me. Hit me, baby, I'm going crazy. Hit me, get me with your raps. Hit me, baby, I'm going crazy. Hit me, call me up or this will be the
Gosh, I'll stop it there. I could just play the whole tune. It's just a banger. Love it. Love Dirty Loops. And there's just so much to say about it. There's this part here. I mean, if you just listen to Henrik is his name, the bass player. Henrik must have some of the best lines in the world as far as like syncopated, funky, just whatever that thing is. And in the verse here, if you just try to pay close attention to the bass.
left you message 100, wish that they all could be deleted. Your number is hanging out a thread. I'm sick and tired, but deep inside I know I'm screwed if you don't call me. Hit me, baby.
Just that super tight, it's just so dynamic and punchy and articulate, and this is a small example. There's some other tunes from this original album, the Dirty Loops Loopified album, that were only in Japan and they don't appear on Western Spotify, unfortunately. I have them on the album, but I wanted to have this playlist put together. So if you want to look up a cool one, Automatic is one of my favorite tunes by them ever. And some amazing bass stuff going on there. Damn. Anyway, next one is by a guy, Doobie Powell. Doobie Powell is kind of like, I don't know what you say, gospel R&B groove music stuff. And yeah, it's called The Groove. Tasty remix. Right? Wow. The harmony in that part, the groove is heavy the whole time. It's just some hip stuff in the chord changes and the melody. You know, there's a bunch of good Dewey Powell tracks worth checking out. Okay, now I'm going to get into a few songs from video games. If you don't know, I'm a huge video game fanatic whole life, and I'm always on the lookout for great game soundtracks. In this case, we're talking about game soundtracks that incorporate jazz fusion of a sort. One of those is probably my favorite game soundtrack of all time, which is for a game called Crosscode. And the music was done by Deniz Akbulut. I don't know how to say his name properly, so I'm sorry, Deniz, if I'm saying it wrong. This track is called Autumn's Rise. And yeah, you'll see, beautiful track. But, you know, prepare, it's old school sounding. So we're talking video game music now. I'm talking about like chiptune style stuff. Of course, there's a lot of other types of video game music too, but here we're talking about kind of early 90s vibe. It's called Autumn's Rise. That's sort of the loop point there. It's a 2.5 minute loop. You know, I don't know if you play games much, but that's very rare to find in a game. Games are having 30-second, minute-long loops, and it gets tired pretty quick. It's an extremely detailed track, and not just because it's game music, just in general. I think it's just so well composed, so many nice parts that flow together and interweave and call back to earlier sections and key changes and layering of instruments. I mean, really, I just feel like it's a masterclass in the style and all the sort of jazz harmony part of it and whatever, it's just, poof, love it. Love it, love it, love it. Okay, next up is a song from a game called Sonic Mania. If you guys know about Sonic music, it's always pretty sort of jazz fusion-esque. And in this sort of more recent iteration of Sonic Mania, T lopes to the soundtrack, and he has this one tune in here. He's got a bunch of good tunes in there, but this one is called Studiopolis. Studiopolis. Zone Act 1. Lights, camera, action. And it's just like the most cliche, but also a banger. Here it is. the idea. Wow, love it. You know that one chord in there, the one that you go, oh, you're in a minor key and you go to a parallel major, but you don't go to parallel like Mixolydian, you go to parallel Ionian, parallel major 7, parallel major 9 from a minor key. So if you're in A minor, I don't know, maybe the track's even in A minor, I can't remember. If you're in A minor, you go to A major 7. That's the one. You know the chord I'm talking about. Scroll back and listen to it again. Okay, last up is, this one's not actually from a game, but it's just chiptune music in the style of a game. And it's called Super Famatasia by a guy called Protodome. And I just love this dude's music. And it's just super funky, jazzy, chiptune stuff. And here we go. You know what I mean? Had to include it. Banger. Nice one, Protodome. Okay, so that's going to sort of take us back into the music world, not the game music world, and stuff that's got some electronic elements in it now. So sort of electronic music meets jazz in a way. This is a tune called Baby Rover by a group called Jazzual Kaz. Right? Yeah, I could do a whole one of these on just modern jazz, which just has, what even is modern jazz these days? It just touches, it basically is jazz fusion. It just touches everything, and is, so much stuff I hear that's in this world that we're listening to now. It's got prog elements, got electronic elements. We'll listen to a few more here that's sort of like that. But yeah, really cool tune. Next up is Durango by Nick Marks. I don't know anything else from Nick Marks. I just found this one recently, and yeah, I dig it. cool, hey? Yeah. A lot of this electronic stuff, I don't know, maybe this one is not quite that way, but a lot of the electronic stuff ends up getting a bit, for me, to the flashy side. And a couple of these we'll see maybe is even too far for me, but I put them on the list anyway because it's cool to listen to. Sometimes it's just like so, everything is just flashy, massive harmonic changes all the time, huge, crazy melodies all the time. The rhythms are just constantly syncopated, weird time signatures. Yeah. Not that I don't like that. Obviously, I do. Here it is. Anyway, let's move on to a track from Anomaly called Metropole. And if you don't know Anomaly, he sort of does electronic jazz hop, maybe you call it. I don't know. It's got a very heavy sort of hip-hop influence, a lot of sluggy grooves, but he's a jazz piano player and great producer, lots of interesting sounds, great harmony, just really cool stuff. This one's a banger. So here we go. Oh, man. Blap, blap. It's the theme of the song. Blap, 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 blap. What a cool track. So many interesting parts. Sound design is just constantly shifting and changing. Grooves are cool. Melodies are cool. Harmony's hip, It's Anomaly. Just search Anomaly with L-I-E at the end, French style. This next one is by Duvel 19. And I don't know much from Duvel other than this track, and it's like a sort of UK garage style. I don't know if it's called UK garage. It's a garage style track anyway, maybe future garage. I'm not good with subgenres of EDM. But I love it. And it's kind of like taking a jazz harmony vibe, similar to what we kind of heard, taking that, maybe not quite that far, but taking these kind of extended chords and interesting movements into this context, and I really dig it. Here it is. It's called You Could Be Mine.
You could be mine, you could be mine, you could be mine, you could be hearing what I say, studying my face, like the way I taste, alright, okay, yeah. Pick me up at 8, you handle the weight, the time that I'll take to vacate.
I'm a sucker for that. All sorts of dance music. I love to dance, and all sorts of EDM. If it can get some of this vibe in, some of the jazz fusion vibe in. I mean, I listen to a lot of music that's not jazz fusion too, but I gotta say it's probably my favorite style. Stuff that can blend the groove with some of the heaviness, but you get that hip harmony in there, some emotional quality to it, Emotional quality, yeah, right. What's that mean? Anything, basically. Cool track, though. You Could Be Mine. You Could Be Mine, Duvel 19. Really cool. Next one this is called Between the Bread, and it's by Nico Harris and a bunch of people. And it is wild. It's one of these, anomaly-ish, sort of similar to a couple things you've heard, in a way that it's like too cool for school. It's just the hippest, hip-hop influenced with crazy harmony changing constantly, and bass motion and melodies and solos and drum fills, and it's just like wah, but produced with some real instruments and whatever. And anyway, you'll see what I mean. You dig? Like, it's too much for me most of the time. It's just, it's just constantly changing, shifting, different. Everything is moving. It's just trying to be as hip as possible in every possible second. And I'm here for it. I'm not going to listen to it every day, that's for sure. But I wanted to put it on here because, it's cool to see people doing that. I can dig it. Next up, we got a tune from Kaidi Tatham. Kaidi's got a lot of really cool stuff in this sort of subgenre of electronic jazz fusion stuff. So this one's called Two Tone. So yeah, it's sort of in the same vein of the stuff I'm talking about. It's like this just so flashy. Everything is just like the harmony is just changing constantly. The melody, the bass, the groove, everything, it's just like wow, jazz, wow, constantly. Which, yeah, for me can be overload sometimes, even though I'm sort of obsessed with all this kind of stuff. Sometimes these types of tunes get to be too much for me, and I think, I need a break. but at the same time, I'm like, oh, but it's so cool. Sort of a funny relationship I have with it. And this one's similar. Perhaps this one's even a step too far. This is the last tune I have for today. It's called Cafe Mañana. I wanted to include it. It's by Volume, Voljum. I wanted to include it because it's just so wild and over the top with this type of thing. But now it's like more electronic, produced with crazy sound design, even, and like neuro elements and all this. So yeah, here we go. Seems like everything's chill. You know, it's like brain scrambler music. I feel like my brain's gonna come out my ears. It's just so high information density of everything. Rhythm and harmony and melody and bass and sound design. Every possible second is just happening. Like, you know, makes me feel like I'm going crazy sometimes. But anyway, super cool stuff. Shout out to Volume. Shout out to everybody on the list. That's going to do it for today. If you enjoyed it, please let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear what tracks you liked. If you got suggestions from me, if you'd like me to do this again with a different genre, I'd love to. I love all different types of music, so I'd be happy to do it in all different types of genres or whatever. Happy to hear your suggestions. So appreciate you. Hope you have a good rest of your day. Hope you enjoyed this, and I'll see you soon. Bye.